Hello, everybody. I'm just opening up the meeting now.
Hey, James.
Yeah. I'm just going to start admitting people in. We'll just give it 3 or 4 more minutes to come together. Thank you so much for joining us already. If you're watching us on the Zoom feed, please do stay engaged. Please feel free to chat and discuss and add your inputs. You're good. If you're watching on the YouTube feed, thank you very much for joining us there as well. You can watch the YouTube feed live or anytime afterwards. So if you miss anything, we'll be going through a fair bit today. Hopefully it won't be too long, but there's certainly a lot of interesting points to run through today. For this session, we will be recapping on the section YP updates from across the week. Had quite a few good sessions. I do encourage you, if you haven't already, to go back and have a look at those. Again, they're all available on demand, and you can watch them anytime. We're going to structure this in a way where we kind of explore some best practices for sections using the sections that we've watched this week as prime examples and case studies. They've all given me plenty to talk about. So we'll run through that. Hopefully from this session, you'll be able to get a taste of some of the excellent things that have been going on around the world, but also kind of ways that you can implement the same strategies as well yourself. So as I say, we'll give it a couple more minutes for the start time, and then we'll get started. But while we're waiting, I will say thank you very much to Shell, the sponsors of the YP Congress. They've supported the whole event, and we did have a meeting with them a couple of weeks ago, and they are so supportive of student and YP activities. They're really, with all the changes going on, they're seeing the amazing work that young professionals are doing, and they really want to kind of encourage them in every way they can. So much gratitude goes to them for making this whole event possible. If you're not too familiar with the YP Congress, if this is one of the first events that you have attended, we have a whole week. Where have you been? We started off on Saturday. The Saturday kickoff meeting showcased the Ideathon, which is running throughout this week. We are encouraging YPs from around the world to come together, work in teams with people that they've never met before, and come up with sustainability solutions, which they will be presenting tomorrow. So I do encourage you to watch that. We should have a couple of pitch meetings, I would think. We've got quite a few different teams coming together. They'll each be giving 5 to 10 minute short presentations to a panel of judges. And then at the same time, we have a sustainability panel with some really, really excellent speakers. I do encourage you to watch that. And then we will be ending that session by announcing the winners of the Ideathon. So thank you so much for that. It's going to be really good. I really hope you enjoyed those sessions. Throughout this week, the boot camp, which was, it's nice to see Rodrigo here. Thank you for joining us. It was his idea, largely. The idea was to hear as much from the regions as possible and provide training and hearing from you, sharing best practices. This is by no means a kind of a course, a training thing that you have to learn every single thing that we talk about. It's more about sharing your experiences. So throughout all of these sessions, the mics are open, you can have your cameras on, you can do whatever you like. We want to hear from you as much as we can. So with that in mind, please do feel free to chat. I can see there's lots of nice messages coming in. Thank you so much. Good to see everybody. So we're up to time now, so we'll get started. So I wanted to talk a bit more about the reason why we decided to have a summary session. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 sections present across the week. All of them have won awards. All of them have done exceptionally well. They're all exceptional examples of SB sections. And the interesting thing is that they're from all over the world. We have sections from Africa, from India, from Asia, South America, Mexico. All of these sections are operating in very different environments. Some have been operating for a long time, some just a few years, all facing unique challenges, but they're all working to, the same kind of high standards and setting some really good examples. So I want to share some of the learnings that I found from them across this past week. Again, if you have any questions or if you want to talk about specific examples that you've enjoyed throughout this week, please do bring them up. It would be great to hear more. If you want to kind of network and talk about collaborations and stuff, that's excellent as well. We'd love to hear from you that as well. So throughout this week, again, just to go through in a bit more detail, on Monday, we had the Mumbai section and the Brazil section. On Tuesday, we had the Bahrain and the India sections. Wednesday, Baghdad, Mexico, and Northern Emirates sections. And then yesterday, we had Benin City, Kuala Lumpur, and the Port Harcourt sections. So as I say, quite a nice range of sections there. Again, all facing unique challenges. But again, one of the reasons why we want to kind of talk about why these are best practices, it's not just a pat on the back. It's not just, look how great we're doing. There's a bit of that, and deservedly so. There's some really amazing work going on out there. But what I've seen from your sections is you operate so professionally. You operate with structure, with strategy, with a good head for finance, with a good head for understanding your audiences and your limitations, reacting to COVID and limitations like that. And I have absolutely no doubt that any of the people that have presented over the past week are going to be excellent business people. Any of them could be entrepreneurs. Any of them will jump straight into a professional environment and be able to react to that. So part of this is showcasing that being part of a section, being part of that kind of organizing committees, running events, working committees, the skills that our sections have shown throughout this week are going to be amazing skills throughout their careers. They're going to go far, everyone who's presented this week. So thank you so much to them. Thank you so much for all of their contributions. So looking at some of the common threads throughout all of them, obviously we've all had COVID to deal with. We've all had challenges such as that and us being able to connect and shine. But I think all of you have run more events than you were expecting. We've all been running a lot more, and a lot of that is down to the availability of we're not having to book meeting rooms, you're not having to worry about paying for catering and booking rooms and AV and all of that kind of stuff that we would usually rely on. You just need a Zoom meeting and a good network of people, and you have utilized that so well. And I'm sure that goes for the same for other sections all around the world as well. You guys have done exceptionally well. I mean, from an SB International point of view, we've been going through the same challenges, and I think we have a lot to learn from you guys as well. So thank you so much for sharing everything that you've been doing. So, of course, there are some other similarities as well. And, there are unique individuals who've been highlighted, but one of the common themes throughout all of these sections is they have a large group of dedicated committee members within them. Some really good examples of that, particularly at the beginning of the week. the Mumbai section, they have such a huge group, and they have a lot of chapters and people to look after, but they have such a large number of people, not just within the section, but supporting with committees, subcommittees, program committees, and having those people dedicated really goes a long way to making those events successful. So I guess the first point I would like to raise is that having a large number of people can really make your life easier. It widens your range of expertise that you have within the group. It makes your programs more representative of the wider section, but it also gives you more contacts, more opportunities for sponsorship, and the actual hard work of hosting the events can be spread out between a large number of people. And I think that goes a long way to seeing why so many more events have been run this year than previous years, because doing things online has enabled more committee members to spend more time on events and have access to events as well. So again, the first thing I would say is the number of people and the good range of people as well really helps with events, definitely. Some other really good examples that I noticed throughout these presentations was the use of membership data and knowing that the sections understood the demographics of their members. A lot of the presentations that we saw across the week started off by showing the demographics of their section. And that shows that they understand that they're operating in an environment with a certain number of reservoir engineers, a certain number of students, a certain number of experienced professionals, people from certain companies, and having that good establishing fundamental knowledge of your sections and who you're serving means that you can adapt your programs to that. And what we have seen across all of these is there is a bit of a decline in membership. So that obviously makes some of these aspects more challenging. But as I say, the section members that we do have better access to our events and to our programs. So that means that while there are perhaps fewer of us, more people are being able to engage with our programs. So I think it's balancing out there, which explains why we've been able to continue running so many great events. We've also seen that generally the age demographics across SPE and across the sections who have presented to us is getting younger as well. And again, that's part of the reason why we wanted to bring this up in the YP Congress rather than just talking about sections generally, is that the amount of work being done for YPs and for students is increasing. So it's very interesting to see that. And as we've explained in some of the previous sessions as well, I think actually this was brought up in the session about the potential merger, is that the needs of young people are quite different to the needs of perhaps more experienced professionals, particularly when it comes to desire for more networking events and more social events and things like that. It's more about these kinds of activities. And again, the sections have shown some really, really good examples of that. The Mexico section showed some really good examples of that. Port Harcourt had sports and charity events and all sorts that really bring the community together. So it shows that SP is more than just a technical society. So that's another shared experience that I noticed from watching all of your presentations across the week. Another thing that a lot of you talked about, given that we didn't give much in the way of instructions on how people should present or templates or anything like that, a lot of you talked about having a clear strategy as well for your section. I think having the importance of goals, targets, and also timelines as well really showed that you kind of understood what your aim and your direction was for your sections. And I think that also goes a long way towards why your events have been so successful. You understand your audience, you understand when you're going to run your event, and you give yourself the right amount of time to do that. The sorry, my screen just went a bit funny then. So yes, I think having that strategy, spending time on discussing that strategy among your section and your section officers, I think that sets really, really strong foundations for that. And so for you who have your timelines, your goals, if you're a section that doesn't have that, or perhaps doesn't discuss these things, they just come up with meetings, maybe they don't discuss activities with other areas of your section, that may, maybe something that you want to look into. I think the importance of strategies as well is that when you're going above and beyond those goals. There were quite a few of you who were saying that you had a certain number of events that you wanted to run in the year, and you actually went above that and you achieved more than that. And that is the kind of thing that shows when you need to give recognition to those people within your section. You've all done incredible work. So it gives yourself time to breathe. It gives yourself time to plan and communicate with each other. And again, these are all amazing skills that will serve you in your professional careers as well. We talked a bit about membership data. Another part that I saw from a lot of you was how well you know your regions. You understand the issues within your regions, you understand the attitudes in your regions, and that enables you to engage with your local communities and really boost your activities as well. I know a lot of regions in Europe particularly may struggle when they are faced with kind of running events in more of the public eye, but a lot of these really successful regions have fully engaged with their local communities. And we saw debate sessions in Nigeria, we saw sports sessions, we saw people giving back to the needy. It's all excellent ways of showing that the industry, we are people, we are good people. So yes, it's exceptional stuff. Again, all of the sections that presented across the week showed examples of this. And not just knowing your communities, but knowing the local industry as well as the the kind of global industry, and understanding those issues as well. The Middle East regions in particular, they showed really strong connections with the industry. I think the Bahrain section talked about setting up a connection with local government and being established as a section formally. And that all helps to ensure that you're operating in the same network and to alignment with the rest of the industry. So, I mean, we all know that there may be a lot of SPE members, but there's a lot more oil and gas professionals. So understanding how we operate in line with the rest of the industry is something I really picked up from you guys. You've really shown that you understand the issues that are happening within your area. And again, you're able to adapt your programs to reflect that. And that allows you to integrate into the fabric of the industry. You're not just a society on the sidelines. You're actively engaged with developing new proposals and really, working with industries. And I really love that example from the Kuala Lumpur section, where while people were stuck on an oil rig isolating, they were able to run events. And I'm sure they enjoyed that as much as the people watching and learning from those experiences. Being able to adapt and respond to those situations is really, really incredible stuff. So it shows you really do understand. And another good example was that from our Nigerian sections, where they hosted membership drives alongside people when they're returning from military service, and understanding that people have things and commitments outside their lives, and that there's appropriate times to reach out to them and there's not appropriate times for that. But understanding your audience is really key, and that ties back again to what we were talking about with our membership data. But I think the reason why you have applied that so well is that you go that bit beyond and understand how people are affected by things in their day-to-day lives, as well as what technical speciality they have, or what region they're in, or these other things that kind of apply to everybody. You understand the specifics and the emotional value that these things have as well. And that allows you to set up specific groups within your region. For example, in the Brazil section, they've started setting up their own technical groups within their section as well. So having specific groups that can help boost technical expertise beyond the norms. That's a really good example of that. But all of you have talked about working with students and working with your DL programs and running a whole series of technical activities. And obviously, there are some big hot topics out there at the moment. A lot of people are talking about sustainability and responding to those needs. And as I say, the demographics are a lot of young people worried about their careers. We've had some really great discussions about that this week as well. And the way that people have responded to that, and no one knows exactly how the industry is going to change in the next 5 or 10 years, but by supporting each other in that community and responding to those technical needs. Lots of courses about Python and other digital courses and automation. So you're really reflecting the needs of technical needs. And we talked a bit about yesterday as well, how people are having to know more. And sometimes just even a good academic background may not be enough on its own. You may have to learn about other areas of the industry that perhaps you weren't too familiar with before. So by hosting those technical sessions and allowing people to go beyond their own technical expertise, I think you are all doing a really great service to the members in your region as well. And this strong technical development, I think it goes hand in hand with how you work with industry. Again, not just SPE members, but by having direct links to individuals in the industry. A lot of you have very strong mentorship programs that allow you to directly connect professionals to to those who are learning and developing in the industry. And again, the KL section, even having mentors who are peers, who are young people as well, and being able to share those experiences and allowing a formal platform for that to happen. At SPE, we have our e-mentoring program that allows you to connect with people anywhere in the world. But I think there's a real advantage to having someone in the same region who automatically understands what you're going through. I think that those kind of sessions have proved really successful within your regions. And the same with internships. And we saw a lot of site tours. It's really great to see that there are still some site tours starting to take place again. I think that's exceptional. But even while COVID was restricting, we utilized the digital platforms and resources to do virtual visits. It actually, in some cases, enabled much greater access to what it's like. Again, we've already mentioned the great example of KL, where they talk to people on rigs, and we got to see accommodation in places like that. But we saw that from other sections as well. And this is all happening in a time where members are in transition. The Mumbai section talked a lot about that as well, and really supporting people when they're in or out of the industry as well. That was something that I believe all of you talked about helping people make that leap. And it's clearly something that people care about a lot. Many YPs have recently gone through that, and they want to make sure that the next generation has the support that maybe they didn't have. So excellent work as well. So another area I would like to focus on as well, and please again do interrupt me if there's any comments or areas that you would like to discuss as well. But we've all been going through kind of financial difficulties. I'm sure many sections relied on events to keep things going. We've relied on sponsorship from companies that have themselves been struggling over the past few years. Obviously, doing things online allows you to do things at lower cost. But a lot of you showed really good examples of making the most of that connection with the industry. I know the Brazil section talked about consolidating packages, so people would not be just supporting one individual program, but supporting a range or a group of activities, making it easier for industries to support sections, but also utilizing the digital space. And we saw examples from, again, the Brazil section where, adding adverts and videos before meetings and things like that is something that shows your creativity. I know sales and sponsorship is not always an easy thing that comes naturally to you. It certainly doesn't for me. I'm sure it doesn't for you. But many of you have taken up that mantle and done really well. And again, having that commitment through sponsorship means that you work that bit harder when it comes to your events as well. And I think that really shows in the quality of your work. Just that connection with the industry, it really builds bonds. We already talked about the field trips, and there were some great examples from that from Northern Emirates as well. So yeah, it's really exceptional work. The way you build that trust with industry, and again, that serves your members well. It allows them a smooth transition into the industry. So we've talked about the connections with industry, but again, with more than just technical, there's a lot more activities going on beyond the technical. Again, Port Harcourt, the amount of charity work that went on is just absolutely incredible. I really hope that continues. It was really well done. To go as far as painting areas to help young children, to help with teaching. I know that we have individuals in India that have worked with YMEC in the past that go out and teach maths to children on their weekends. And that all goes down to the fact that a lot of our members are really dedicated. They love their topics. They love STEM topics in general, and they love supporting their community. And I know as well from previous surveys that YMEC have done that the reason many people come into the industry is because they want to support their community. They want to improve the infrastructure of their communities and help raise their countries even out to, and keep them developing. And that goes to show because you do that on your weekends too. You do that through sports activities, through charity raising. We have lots of examples we saw of SP Cares activities and tree planting and things like that as well. So it goes to show that you are all incredibly passionate. I think that passion as well is what makes sections that have presented this week stand out. Definitely. Obviously, I've mentioned about outreach and working within the communities. As I mentioned, in places like Europe, the perception of the industry is challenging, but I believe those activities are continued technical and social activities relating to sustainability. Goes to show how dedicated we are as an industry to solving the issues that we will face. And that goes hand in hand with the fact that so many of you have Gaia activities going on, diversity and inclusion activities going on, Energy for Me activities, as well as the traditional kind of ambassador lecturer programs and outreach programs like that. So there's really no shortage of things that you can do. We're not just a oil and gas industry. We're part charity, part social justice warriors. We are doing a whole lot of things. And I hope SP has allowed you to have a platform to do these things where you may not be able to do that on your own. It's, as I said at the beginning, there are so many things that are made easier by working in a community of like-minded individuals who are all dedicated and working in the same way as you. So I hope that the sections that you've all founded have allowed a really good platform to that, and I really hope that that continues for a long time to come. I hope that's kind of summarized my findings from this week. I've got pages and pages of notes of like individual programs, but what I would suggest is if you want to find out more about any of those, go back and watch those sessions. Many of the presentations ended with links to their LinkedIn pages. A lot of sections are utilizing these digital platforms to work more collaboratively with each other. Obviously, there was a great example again from KL where they showed that they were working with many sections and chapters from around the world. And this event, again, is a good example of this, where we're able to see the activities from all of these sections and share and utilize that information with each other. And hopefully in the future, we'll have more activities like this and learn from more other great sections as well. Don't forget that we do have the Section Officer Resource Center, which is our kind of Bible for sections. So if you want to know more about financial planning, about emailing in forms and all of these things, we have lots and lots of information for you there. You don't have to start from scratch and learn on your own. And as I say, there's a wealth of knowledge there, and we all learn from each other and learn best practices from each other. So as I say, I'll kind of finalize by saying, again, if you have all these skills that you've shown, you are definitely going to have very, very successful careers. You are running your own businesses already. So if you see that job that you think, oh, perhaps I don't have the right experience for this, think about all the activities that you do within SP as well, because the chances are you have had to work in a team, you have had to communicate with people around the world, you have had to do all of these things, you've had to act in a professional environment, you've had to give presentations, you have had to be organized, particularly if you're a student watching this now as well and you haven't had that first job yet in the industry. You can show all those examples that show you can work in a professional environment through your section and chapter activities. So that's it from me. As I say, a relatively short one. I do hope that you do go back to those other sessions. I will open it up and see if there are any comments from the rooms. If anyone saw any, I can see we have a lot of the people who presented here from across the week here together on the same meeting. It would be great to hear if any of you saw particular events or activities that you saw from other sections that you would perhaps like to run at your own, or if you would like to congratulate anyone for any activities that they haven't been able to do. I know from my own example, I'm always very jealous of the internship programs and the site visit programs, because it just doesn't quite work internationally as easily, at least anyway, in the way it's all to do with that connection with the industry that you developed, that personal relationship with the industry that you developed that's allowed you to run those programs locally. And I know there are a lot of other regions, such as the Egyptian section, who unfortunately weren't able to join us this week, but there are other really great examples of that as well. Thank you for your kind words, Rodrigo. And thank you for presenting as well on Monday. Are there any other examples people would like to share? Or any other learnings that they found from operating in a section that any big learning lessons that they'd like to share with the rest of the group?
James, I have some thoughts, but I'm going to let the other colleagues first go on their comments and then I'll comment.
Oh, I think you were first, Rodrigo, so please feel free to go ahead.
No, thanks, James. Well, like you said, I want to congratulate all the sections that displayed all these amazing activities they've been doing, and they're already, most of them, if not all of them, are quite already, I don't want to use the word old, but very experienced as a section with YPs. Their references already in the regions, and they're very well known in the SP community, and I think they'll serve us as great examples for other sections, especially because I think sometimes within YMEC or the SP community, we are quite aware of what they're doing, but that sometimes only propagates between this closer circle of YMEC and section officers. And now with this kind of event, which I'm extremely happy and honored that we were able to have hopefully this lessons learned will remain as through video recorded and available for other sections to follow. I made some very small comments here, some a few points, not to repeat what you mentioned, James, because I think you did an amazing and perfect summary of the whole week. I think the takeaways that I took from the presentations are, I think the main axis that all of these sections are dealing with, and they've dealt amazingly well, is on one side the pre and post COVID scenarios with all the virtualization and everything that's been doing now online everywhere, which I think is here to stay and has dramatically catalyzed and increased the number of activities for YPs. It's made it easier, like you mentioned, James. No need to rent or get a room with a coffee break. And I mean, of course, there's always the in-person aspect, which of course is always great, but being able to keep all these activities, and many of them will be kept virtual, I think it makes it easier for people to attend, to watch it later, to even make it even more international. Now you can have anyone watching from everywhere, especially if it's done in English. So that's a great point. Then I think the other two main, we were calling it elephants in the room during the early days, is the energy transition effect, of course, the conversion rate between students and professional members. And I think we also got to remember that we had all these amazing sections displaying their activities, but there are many sections which don't have yet this kind of structure, don't have yet a well-established YP committee. Some of them don't have even YP chairs. And I think it would be great if along with all what you mentioned, James, we put it all into one single deliverable, one memo / letter / document, PDF, or how we want to call it, and not only shared with all the section officers, with all the YP chairs and all the regional directors, but with the board itself. And then if we could, I was literally thinking of suggesting creating a resource center for YPs, and that's when UN very well reminded that there is one for section officers, and I myself sometimes forget about it. But I think we could either expand it more for YPs, specific items, documents, tips for YPs, or even within this resource center, or in parallel create a YP resource center, which not only focused on section officers, but on any YP member or any YP chair or any YP committee that wants to use these kind of lessons learned, like the one we've been having throughout the week. So I think items that I know that NIHA and YMEC are already working on, things that we could add. For instance, I think we need to add a little bit more on the ambassador lecture program. We can have a video library of lectures within this YP resource center. We can have even templates. I know that sometimes I want to have an SP / ALP presentation, and there aren't that many SP official templates. Even ourselves, we know that on YMEC, we had to create some of our own. So I think this kind of little things, tips, how does funding work, or tips to acquire funding for ALP, even if it's just, a template invitation letter, or to invite someone to give a lecture at your university or your company through a YP or student audiences. Something I think I saw all of these amazing activities that all of these sections are doing, and I feel the absence of this award that used to exist, which was the annually given to the section that gave or did the most activities for YPs, and I remember that out of the sudden that award was removed. I think that award should be reinstated. That would be a recommendation, because it's one can, of course, award individual YPs, but we need to also recognize the sections as a whole that are doing all these amazing activities. So I think that award should go back. Same thing with the ALP. There should be a more clear award for those YPs and sections that are doing a lot for the ALPs, not only individual members. We can have even a more clear ranking throughout the year of how many ALPs everyone is doing, instead of just an annual final number. I think that will encourage people to register their ALPs, because I have the feeling that a lot of YPs perform and give out lectures throughout the ALP program, but don't necessarily register them in the SP International website. I include myself. I should as well as the other YPs in Brazil do it, and we end up sometimes not doing it, and we forget that that's the only way that SP has to track and to recognize any section. I think all of these amazing courses you guys have been giving, James and Yuen and Blaine and everyone within the SP community on using membership builder, informs, tips and tricks for better online virtual presentations. All of these pre-recorded and live courses have been amazing. I think these kind of courses can go straight into the this subdivision of the resource center focused on YPs. I hope that this event remains recurrent and every year. It will be amazing. And this bootcamp encounter, that was the first we've had of this kind. And like you mentioned, James, was a dream we always wanted to have for many years, and finally materialized and it's a reality now. So I think every year this exchange between the YP chairs is vital, and it should remain as a tradition. And I think, not to extend too much, I think 2 items that we can do and recommend is give examples of how social media is well used and implemented for the different YPs. Even within YMEC, I would remind everyone in the call and everyone watching to follow, subscribe, track, whatever the verb is, YMEC social media. I realize we're a little bit sometimes lower on how many followers we have on some channels. And everyone should follow not only YMEC channels, but the other section channels, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it is. And I think we can further integrate the way ahead as well into this axis of YPs. So the way ahead is an amazing entity with great material all the time. We can try to find some synergies. I know that Niha is working on that with the YMEC new roster. And last but not least, I think we could and should, based on the data that's been presented this week, and that great session, James, and when you guys hosted with this polls in which you assessed, based on who was on the call, how they viewed the market, how, if they felt optimistic or not, etc. I think these kind of questions should be included in the annual survey that could be and should be sent to all YPs worldwide. And this data, same way as SP International publishes on its website this annual demographics and data, etc., there should be this kind of questionings and to try to get a feeling on how IPs are feeling about the market, and even on some market survey, or whether you're employed or not, whether you're studying or not, kind of like even a salary survey. We could add all of these data into the annual SP report, focusing specifically on YPs, and add it to this YP center. And I think that the last item is, I think we need to also, YPs, I think it's always a very complex demographic in the sense that they're charged to give a lot of events for a lot of people. YPs usually organize the Petro Bowl. They're the ones to help with Energy for Me, although it's open for any member, even senior members. And there aren't that many programs yet. Now with the career pathways, with YP Congress, now I think there's more and more activities for YPs rather than by YPs. But I think an item that we could further do to try to help with that would be to have a better breakdown of data for those YPs as being currently categorized as students versus those YPs that are masters and PhDs, because we sometimes sections say, even SP International, we have students, YPs and seniors, but in reality, within this student category, you have 18-year-olds enter university, and sometimes 40-year-olds with a second PhD or something. So it's hard to put them all in the same bag. They want different things, and sometimes it's hard to even track member retention, because if you're a student and a YP, you might prefer to remain as a student and to avoid having to pay the annual fee, as being an advantage, fair advantage of being a student. So I think we need further breakdown of data between the different categories of students. Those, I think, are the main takeaways. But the main takeaway is, of course, congrats on the event, this amazing event, on the perfect summary you did, James. Please count me in to try to put it all into paper and presentation in Word format so we can submit it to the board and spread it all around the SP international community. Perhaps the way ahead, even doing a series of articles for a special edition on it. And mainly, of course, congrats to the volunteers and all of the sections that showed their amazing events. Mexico, India, Mumbai, all of them. Really interesting tips. I wrote down a lot of them and I will pass them on here in Brazil. I know Cassandra has been doing that already in the Latin American Caribbean section, but really congrats. And it's really an amazing example and display of creativity, mainly facing this COVID scenario, and really proud of everyone. So that was, sorry, James, I went a little bit over time.
That's fine. We're all good. Thank you very much, Rodrigo. Some really good suggestions there. So thank you very much. There's some nice comments coming through as well, offering collaboration as well. So Majir from the Northern Emirates section, urging sections who don't have a large membership group who are watching here today, or maybe a lack of speakers, that they can collaborate, happy to collaborate in the future. From KL Haswan, the multi-award winning Haswan, would like to suggest a buddy mentor system for various YP sections. I think that has been attempted in the past, so I'll have a look into that. I think that's a really, really good idea. Dorcas as well, the Port Harcourt section is open for collaboration as well, and there's some contact details there. But I would suggest as well, we want to help support you as well. The Young Member Engagement Committee wants to help support as well. So from the international side, we are there as well. So if you are not on the YP officer WhatsApp group, sorry, it left my mind for a second. If you're not part of the WhatsApp group, do reach out to us, because that's a really great way of getting connected and finding out about volunteer opportunities and things like that quickly. And again, many of you who presented heard through that as well. So do reach out to us. If you're not sure how to get onto the WhatsApp group, just email us at yp@sp.org. Thank you, Ian. You've also put the link in the chat as well. But we also have our LinkedIn group as well, which is pretty young, but it's growing and growing and growing every day. And there's a lot of great information coming out on there, interesting news stories, as well as, you know, sponsorship deadlines, all the things that you need to know as a student or a YP. So definitely reach out to us. Again, my email address, yp@sp.org, or jwhitaker@sp.org, or you can find me on LinkedIn as well. I'm more than happy to connect with you directly. But yes, it's all about community. Like the strength is all about community and having power in numbers. We're all facing a huge number of challenges, but you know, we're coming up with incredible solutions together. So thank you so much for that. I can see some more congratulations and things in the chat, so that's absolutely great. Thank you so much. Again, we have one more bootcamp session today, a very exciting one. Yesterday we heard from YMEC and YPs about their views on the future of the industry, and today we will be hearing from CEOs, and we have 4 CEOs ready to talk to you. So do join us. They'll be introducing themselves. We've got a couple of debating points to ask them, and they'll be telling us more about how they think YP should be better prepared, what skills are missing when people are coming into the industry, and those kinds of things. So I do strongly recommend watching that one in person if you can, so you can get your questions heard as well. So that will be the last one of our bootcamp series for this week. Again, we do have a sustainability panel session tomorrow, and we will also be announcing the winners from our pitch meetings as well, where there'll be all the Ideathon teams will be showcasing their, sorry, yes, Rodrigo, go ahead. They'll be showcasing their ideas. Thank you. Go ahead, Rodrigo.
James, we just have a little question. All of these presentations from all the great sections that were displayed, would it be possible for them to be shared on the YP, on the SP Resource Center somehow, or the future, let's say, YP Resource Center?
Yes, obviously. So you can watch all the videos on demand from this event webpage and also on the YMAC YouTube channel. But yes, I think that's a great idea if we can move these videos onto the resource center, or at least onto some of the other more established SP International pages. I think that's a really good idea. I'll certainly look into that. Thank you, Rodrigo.
Perfect, James. And hoping that this section award for YP activities might be reinstated, or but regardless of it, I've always remained in doubt and regarding how many annual reports are actually available, because I think sometimes we perceive annual reports as being kind of secret of state of, how does the section win? Oh, you can't, it's kind of confidential, but I think it serves as an example for other sections. I don't know if any of these sections would be willing to share on their resource center some of the examples of these activities they've done and report in their annual report somehow, because I think it serves as a guide and inspiration for other sections regarding YP activities.
I think we can add that to our document proposal. It's an interesting idea, particularly if that fits in with the mentorship thing. Maybe linking it between sections who mentor each other could be a great idea.
Absolutely. Thanks, James.
Perfect. Thank you. So, Manny, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, James. Good morning. I wanted to bring a point here that I kind of missed during my presentation, was in the membership roster for all the membership chairpersons. I'm not sure if we get an information about the section that the members are associated with. So what I really found out with India section, and why you also see that the curve is improving, is because we did find out that many members who did register through our section, they got the fees paid, and then later on they kind of shifted or moved their section to some other section. That kind of really adulterates the whole roster thing, and that gives us maybe different sort of analysis that we don't want to see. And there are times when we are really paying the fees for more than the members that we see in the roster. So that is only because of the section that they pick. And I'm not sure the membership chairpersons are getting that opportunity to see if a member was a part of their section and have they moved to some other section inadvertently, which they were not willing to, or maybe because of that, or for some reason they moved. So that is something which I would request SPE to also help the membership chairs to get that information. Because the roster is the only place where we understand where and how is the data proceeding for the members.
Mm-hmm.
That is one thing I wanted to bring out. And the other thing which I also see in a lot of sections and the chapter is, so particularly in India, because I'm located here, what I see is that many sections and chapters are geographically located far apart from where they should not be. And that has been happening with India section particularly, because we have been supporting a chapter which is really, really close to our section, which is PDEU chapter. And the chapter is really associated with a section which is way far from SP India. And maybe there are times when these sections are not willing to give up the chapters, and this has become a problem for us to get PDU affiliated with our section. So I don't know who should I be reaching out to for this, because we have been trying to reach out to the section who's already looking at that chapter, but there is no exact support that the section is providing them because of the geographical distance. And I'm not sure SP looks at it, because in India, even my university from where I graduated is affiliated to Bangalore. So that's almost at the opposite ends of the map. So the students and the chapters, they never get the opportunity to interact and meet and come to the events that the section is organizing. And I feel the reason we are able to support PDPU very closely is because of the geographical location.
Mm-hmm.
Any suggestions that you would give me on how can I really bring that on?
The only thing I can think of is to contact the section and the chapters teams at sections@spe.org.
Mm-hmm.
Erin over there, who leads that team, would be able to look more into that side of things. It may be fairly straightforward change. I'm not sure. It may be a quick setting if everybody is in agreement with that.
Yeah, if people are not in agreement, what happens then? So have you ever been through a case where a section is not willing to give up a chapter, or so what happens then?
I haven't heard that. I guess it would go to a review in that case, but I'm not 100% sure. I've not heard of that happening before, so I'm not sure. But I'm sure it would go to a review and perhaps be involved with the regional directors from your area. They may be able to help come to a consensus on that decision as well.
Okay. That's a great plan. Thank you so much, James.
Okay, no problem. Okay, fantastic. Well, again, we're an open community. We don't want these conversations to stop with these meetings. So again, if you're watching on demand, put chats and comments in the YouTube channel, or do just reach out to us, as I say, yp@sp.org, or the LinkedIn groups, or anything else that you can see in the chat. It's been really, really great talking to you all. I've learned so much. I've been at SP for a while now, and I'm still learning so much from you guys. So perfect, so much. Alfonso, you wanted to say something? Please do.
Yes, hello everyone. It's again a pleasure to be with you today. We have found very supporting the student chapters from the different places in Mexico, and we can provide them with our participation. We collaborate them with some expositions, some works. We were planning a lot of activities that we will restart now after the pandemic issues, and we can find a really backup from them in the Congreso Mexicano del Petróleo to be held in a few days. We will use their backup to support our activities, and that is part of our function as a YP committee. And the students have also a lot of programs for the community engagement and sustainability projects, and we can support them too, and we can show them the how to go to a successful.
Definitely. Well, I mean, thank you for proving my point at how dedicated and passionate our presenters have been, because you really show that. It's really, really good. And maybe at future meetings, you'll have equivalent meetings for all the chapter officers as well. And I'm sure we'll see some really exciting programs coming out from them as well. But thank you so much, Alfonso. Really, really nice way to end that. Again, keep the conversations going. Use the social media feeds and everything. It's been such a pleasure talking to you all. And I hope you can join us for our final session in just over 3 hours' time. But it's been an absolute pleasure working with you all. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, James, and congrats to everyone. So many thanks and congratulations to everyone.
Definitely. Thank you.